Hey, great afternoon. We are just so excited to be here sharing with you on Talks with Tillett, myself and Lady Tillett. We're here just to share a few words with you as it relates to our journey from the New Jersey area to the great state of North Carolina to Fayetteville, what I would call the metropolitan city of Fayetteville. And we wanted you to be a part of this experience.
Overwhelmed, right? You're coming from the known, going to the unknown. So what is the transition going to include? How is the church going to embrace us? How are my kids going to feel in terms of a transition? You do have a lot of questions swirling around your mind. So I think the word for me would be just unknown.
What about you, Dr. Tillett?
For me, I would probably say definitely unknown. But I think when you have been in this business probably for as long as I've been in it, you know what you must do, what you have to do. But I think at the same time, I was so accustomed to where I was that sitting before a new congregation, a new presiding elder, and a new bishop was probably to some degree, I guess it would be overwhelming. But dig this, I was here, and I had to do what God called me to do. And so we went in full steam ahead, and by God's grace, the rest is history.
So you have to understand a little bit about my husband and I. We want the best for each other. I don't know if he told you this, but a little bit more than a year ago, I was offered the job of my dreams, and that job was not in New Jersey. It was in another state. And I came to my husband to talk about it, and I'm like, I don't know. I got a kid in high school. How is this going to work? And he was like, well, make it work. Take it. It was my dream job, so I took it. So similarly, when he told me that the bishop had asked him or offered him Simon Temple, he said, what do you think? I'm like, what do I think? You need to take it. His question, similarly, we have a kid in high school. We're pretty much entrenched where we are in New Jersey. How is it going to work? And I'm like, you're a man of faith. We'll make it work. So I was 110% in terms of him taking this opportunity because, again, we always want what's best for each other. And I felt that as though God was calling him to a higher place of ministry. And here we are at Simon Temple.
My first experience at Simon Temple was awesome. Now, I'm going to tell you why. Because as I was sitting there and the choir just opened up, I could look at the choir and I could see the energy and the excitement with the choir. I looked out in the congregation and the people were excited and they were standing and worshiping God. And that's what I do. I enjoy worship. And so I knew in that moment that I was in the right place. I really did. I knew I was, if I could say it like this, I felt like I was at home and just really, really enjoyed that. I really did.
So I'm an observer of people and I'm very perceptive. So while the choir was amazing, the congregation was energetic, I'm getting my energy from people around me. And what struck for me was just the warmth of the membership. People you never knew just seemed so authentic and genuine. And for me, that was important. Again, I'm coming from a new place, coming from the unknown to the known. So to hear and to feel people genuinely concerned about you, genuinely happy that you're here, that meant the world to me. I have family in North Carolina, so that wasn't an unknown. My father's from Kannapolis, North Carolina. My mother's from Plymouth, North Carolina. My mother-in-law lives in Concord, North Carolina. So North Carolina itself is familiar. Hadn't been to Fayetteville, but I do have some family here as well. It's been easy navigating Fayetteville. me and GPS have become one. So if there's any place I need to know, I'm plugging it in, and everything is pretty much in a 20-mile radius I've seen. So it's been a really easy process in terms of navigating the city.
Yeah, I would probably say the same. I think for me, and I may have said it before, remember this, I get attached to people and places. And I think initially it was somewhat difficult detaching myself from a place that I lived in for the past 21 years. But I think, as Lady Tillett just mentioned, once I got down here to North Carolina, well, let me just say this. I'm familiar with North Carolina because I did my undergrad at Livingstone College and Hood Theological Seminary. And so, and then I have an aunt and uncle that live in Fayetteville. So I'm familiar with North Carolina, or say I was familiar with North Carolina before I got here. But coming back to North Carolina, I think it fit like a hand in glove. And as my wife mentioned, navigation has become our best friend. But now I think I've put in many instances navigation off to the side, and I'm getting used to getting around Fayetteville. Let me also say something that's quite interesting. It seems, and I think this started from day one with myself going out and about in Fayetteville, whether in the grocery store or the shopping center, I'm always running into people saying, "Excuse me, are you Pastor Tillett? Or are you the pastor of Simon Temple?" And so I'm running into people all the time, whether they're members of Simon Temple or people that are familiar with me, or the Simon Temple AME Zion Church. And so I think for me that helps, I think, to some degree as well. And let me finally say, with the transition initially, I was here for the most part, and my wife and son, they would come down on the weekends. But once they relocated and got here, it made the stay for me even better to have my wife and to have my son with me. And so I thought I would share that as well. That's a very, very important piece, because it can be a challenge being away from your family. But once the family got here, it really made Fayetteville home, I think, for me.
I don't think Kendall cared too much, right? Kendall's a junior in Hampton, and she's navigating life on her own as a college junior. So I think she was probably the least impacted. I think we were most concerned about my son, Keith. So Keith, at the time of the transition, was a sophomore in high school in New Jersey. And we all know transitioning for a high school, especially a high school male, can be a challenge because you've grown up with people, you have friends, everything's familiar. So we were most concerned about how he would navigate this change. And if I'm quite honest, we were initially going to be a family that lived in 2 states because we didn't want to uproot our son if we thought it was going to be too impactful. But I would say around February, March, he came to us and said, I think I want to move to Fayetteville. We said, that's a big decision. Think about it and let's talk a little bit later. And he came back about a month later and said, I really want to do that. So at the point where he was ready, we just sort of put things in motion to transition from New Jersey into Fayetteville. And he has not missed a beat in terms of moving down here, joining the football team, making friends. It's as though he's been here forever. And I gotta also say that the hospitality at Simon Temple has been just amazing from his perspective, because he loves to eat and the people at Simon Temple love to cook. So it's been a really good relationship from that perspective. And I think I speak for him when I say that he feels embraced, and he's really appreciated hospitality that's been given to him.
I appreciate that hospitality so very kindly. The cooking is excellent, and please keep cooking.
Right, because I don't like to cook. I'm just going to be honest. My family eats, but I don't like to cook. So it's been really refreshing to been the beneficiary of some really great dishes.
Yeah. I would also just ditto everything that my wife had to say about the children. That, of course, for Kendall, she's at Hampton, so she's doing her own thing. Although she has close relationships in New Jersey. And so from time to time, there's conversation about, okay, when school's out, then I will be in Fayetteville and not New Jersey, where, again, some of her close friends are, and where she had her summer gig or her summer job. So that was some conversation. But as my wife said, in regards to Keith, I mean, he was the big football star in the community that we lived in, played baseball, and we did not know that he was going to come to us and say, you know what, I want to go to Fayetteville. But I think, as my wife said, as he traveled here and shared with the great people of Simon Temple and the community of Fayetteville, he saw himself. He saw folk that looked like him, very successful and progressive. And I believe he was excited about that. And just being, I think, in a school where he could see kids or more kids or young people that looked like him and teachers that looked like him, I think helped him to cross over. And so you're talking about excited. Sometimes he's somebody gonna cook from the church today. The transition as it relates to the kids. Perfect.
But so I'm the last piece of the transition, right? Husband's transition. Kendall's fine. Keith is fine. I'm still transitioning. So I'm going to need y'all to pray for your First Lady. I travel to Massachusetts twice a month for about 8 days a month. So I'm still navigating a job in another state and remote when I'm not there. So you all pray for me, because that's a bit of a challenge. But I'm certain that in the end, there'll be an opportunity that'll be perfect for me.
Yeah. And let me also say, I can appreciate the fact, and for me, that's, I believe, what I've always wanted. Growing up, a beautiful and wonderful wife, professional who had her own career, and I will never get in the way of her career. I want her to be successful and prosper in her career. Yeah. And it also helps that, financially, she does very well. And we don't want to cut her off in no way. But she is a professional woman, and I want her to excel and be the best that she can be, just like she wants me to be the best that I can be. So if sometimes you don't see her around all of the time, even once she transitions here fully and finds employment here, she still will be doing her thing, because she is her own person. She is a professional, and I want her, again, I can't say it enough, to excel in what she does. That makes me happy. It makes all of us happy, and we want to keep a happy home, So thought I would just share that with you as well. For me, when it comes to social media, one of the things people tease me about all the time is that
you're not on it?
Yeah, I'm not I'm a very private person, and I've always been. Not that I love people and I love communicating and talking with people. I'm more in your face, have a conversation with you, sit and talk, learn about you, and not so much get on my phone and go through social media. I'm trying to get there. I'm going to do better. And so pray for me in regards to that. But I think to whom much is given, much is required. I have no problem being out there more because I believe that God has called us at this time and in this season to do that, to be available, to minister to people that are beyond the four walls of the local church. And so I may not have, I didn't know that God was going to do that almost a year ago. But now I'm in a place and in a position where we are exposed more ministry and to people, and people are coming up to me in different places and saying, wow, I saw you, your service, or I saw your talks with Tillett, and it really blessed me. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I thought I could have worked on that talk with Tillett a little bit more. I could have worked on this message a little bit more. But it's encouraging and empowering to know that we are reaching more people by God's grace, and I'm excited about it. I'm still trying to get out of that shell of that I'm kind of private person. But again, pray for me. I'm going to do better. But I'm excited that there are other options and opportunities to reach people, and I want to be all in 100%.
I think I was surprised at, if I can use the word impact, that some of the things that I thought were relatively minor have made on people. But my mind goes back to the hymn, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men, women to me. So it's doing things, it's outreaching in different ways to be able to draw more people to the body of Christ. So, I'm excited to see what the future's going to hold.
Wow, that is a huge question. Where does Simon Temple go from here? I believe that God has great things in store for the Simon Temple church, family, and community. Let me first of all say this. I appreciate and thank God for the leadership of Bishop Brian R. Thompson and the Reverend Felika Thompson, visionaries who helped to bring Simon Temple to this place, to this point. And I believe, just like any good leadership team, we bring a congregation so far, but we have goals and aspirations for the church and the community of believers for the future, in the future. And so I see Simon Temple, wow, this campus expanding in terms of real estate. I see it expanding in terms of buildings. I see a family life center that will meet the needs of the young people in the community with a gymnatorium. I can see visualize a stadium where young people can play football and soccer and lacrosse. The gymnatorium where young people can play basketball. I see baseball fields. I just see a sports complex altogether. I see so much in the future of Simon Temple, a daycare, a school. There's so much that God has in store for the Simon Temple AME Zion Church. And I believe that in this season, God has caused this transition to happen so that we can continue the work that God has so blessed the Simon Temple Church to experience. There's so much more I can say. I mean, I just, it's overwhelming. It really is overwhelming to me, and I certainly know it's overwhelming to you. But peep this out. We can do all things through Christ who gives us the strength and the ability to make things happen. We're getting ready to move into what I call unlimited possibilities. The door is before us. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about what I've seen thus far, and even more excited about what God is going to do. Let me finally say this. I believe that the vision of Simon Temple will also include those persons who are members of the Simon Temple AME Zion Church. So we're going to have an opportunity to sit and to have some serious conversation and dialogue. God has given foundation. Now we want to start putting some more brick and mortar, not just in terms of building, but in terms of spirituality, because I see building, but I also see the increase of membership, the numerical growth here, the numbers, and the spiritual growth of those who are already here. And so we're going to be able to sit down together, have some conversation, invite and include those of you who are a part of this great ministry, so that we can grow together. It's not an enigma. It's not a mystery. God, again, has a great work for the Simon Temple Church. I'm excited about it, and I'm looking forward to walking with you into the future. God bless you, and thank you so much for listening.